and I'm asking you to bring him back to me.
Of all the hostages, bring them home now.
Today, we don't know if she's alive or dead.
Sponsored by
PhD, MPhil किसी भी विषय में डिप्लोमा के अनेक अवसर है RKDF यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशंस ओपन।
After 7 months into the Israel-Hamas war, the first meeting focusing on the hostages ruthlessly taken away by Hamas terrorists finally happened on Thursday. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, while throwing light on the grim reality, highlighted that it took the UN 7 months of raging war to convene a meeting focusing on the sufferings and ways to release the civilian hostages that were seized by the Hamas terrorists on October 7 last year, when it launched a brutal attack on the Israeli soil. The meeting was convened by the United States as their main concern was condemning hostage-taking as a psychological tool of terrorism. Speaking at the meeting initiated by the United States and the UN, Erdan stressed that at least 132 hostages are still under Hamas control in Gaza. Notably, the United Nations Security Council pressed for the immediate and complete release of all victims in 3 resolutions. Meanwhile, US Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield urged all the nation members to raise a demand for the immediate release of all the remaining hostages. On October 7th, during the Simchat Torah, a Jewish festival, the Hamas terrorist attack launched a brutal onslaught against Israel at dawn, where nearly hundreds of soldiers and civilians were slain and kidnapped by Hamas terrorists. That triggered Israel to launch its counter-offensive against Hamas called Operation Iron Swords, where the IDF shot thousands of missiles in the retaliation, resulting in several fatal airstrikes throughout the Gaza Strip. During an unofficial UN Security Council gathering on Thursday, Shoshan Haran, who was taken hostage on October 7, recalled the most horrific memories of 50 days in captivity and its severe impact on her granddaughter, who was 3 years old at that time. She stressed that one must not allow the normalization of this unprecedented form of terrorism, like mass hostage-taking of unarmed civilians, women, children, and the elderly.
No one knows better than me the tremendous risk of being a hostage. No one knows better than me the psychological distress caused by captivity. No one knows better than me that every minute counts. I call upon the UN Security Council to do everything in its power to prevent hostage-taking from happening ever again. The UN Security Council should do everything in its power for the immediate and unconditional release of all the hostages. Bring them home now. My daughter and my little grandkids need their father, Tal Shoham, back home now.
Alet Semerano, whose son was killed on October 7th and his body taken by Hamas, and Gilly Roman, whose sister was taken hostage and had released in November, also addressed the gathering.
I'm asking you, and I'm asking you to bring him back to me. I'm not an investigator and cannot answer these questions. I'm just a mother who lost what is most precious to her in the world.
Saddened by the traumatic experience, Erdan highlighted that bringing back hostages is the most urgent and critical humanitarian issue that the Council must focus on. He further stressed the fact that the Council must denounce the Hamas terrorist group and insisted on allowing the Red Cross to visit the captives.
and I'm asking you to bring him back to me.
Of all the hostages, bring them home now.
Today, we don't know if she's alive or dead.